Hi, I'm Leo Lyons, founding member and original bass player of the band 10 years after. It was started by Alvin Lee, the guitar player, and I. We started playing together way back in 1959, and people came and left from the band. Originally we were called the Jaybirds. Rick Lee joined us, I think, in about 1966 or 67, as did Chick Churchill, and eventually we became 10 years after. Basically, both Alvin and I, and the whole band really, from the Nottinghamshire area, you know, Robin Hood, East Midlands coal mines, that area. That's where we formed. Alvin and I started playing together. He was 15 and I was 16, and we turned professional a year later. When I left school at 16, turned professional, moved to London from Nottinghamshire, because in those days everybody had to go to London. Failed miserably, went back home again. The band broke up apart from the drummer, Alvin and I, and then we went to Germany. I guess 1962, went back to Nottinghamshire, back up to London, failed again. The drummer left, got another drummer, went back up to London again, failed again. Went back up to London again with yet another drummer, which was Rick Lee, and this time we stayed up there, and it worked out to be very successful for us, with 30 plus tours of America and all over the world. It said I starred in German westerns. That's a bit of a myth, which is not true. I'd quite like to, and you know, if there are any offers out there, I'll take them up, but I didn't. No. There are a lot of references, and some of the things we've said ourselves, but in truth, the band were looking for a name from the Jaybirds, and we were called the Blues Yard. We were looking for a name. And I was reading an article in a magazine, a radio magazine, and it was advertising a book about the Suez Canal. You know, the Suez Canal, the British invaded the Suez Canal in 1956. And the title of the book was Suez, 10 years after. And I thought, well, 10 years after sounds like a good name for a band. People will wonder what it's about, and so I threw it out to the other guys in the band and our management. Everyone liked it, so we became 10 years after. It was after that when people said, you know, what's it all about? Why are you called 10 years after? We said things like, you know, 10 years after Elvis, 10 years after rock and roll, 10 years after whatever we can get, you know, all sorts of things. The first album, I think, was called 10 Years After, and basically it was our stage set put on vinyl, really. You know, we went in the studio, played the songs that we were doing live. Yeah, an interesting cover. It was an artistic thing and too much dope, I think. I blame it on America, going to America in 1968, you know, right in the middle of the hippie thing in San Francisco and everywhere else. We went back changed men. I mean, the cover was shot by Decca, the Decca Studios. The rest of the records we had some more of an input on. But I guess we were a kind of a blues rock psychedelic band. If you listen to the 10 Years After catalogue, it never kind of pegs down to one particular thing. I mean, a lot of our contemporaries like Zeppelin or the Stones, even, they seem to stick to it. They get a format that works and it sounds great, and they do it well. With 10 Years After was going from jazz to blues to rock and roll to country to psychedelic to, you know, all sorts of things. And I think maybe that's what made the band a little different. Well, the second album was actually a live album, Undead, and the reason for doing a live album was because the first album went over pretty well, and Bill Graham, promoter in America, I'm sure you've heard of, invited us to go over there and play the Fillmore East or the Fillmore West and then the Fillmore East, which was about to open. So on the basis of that, we decided we'd go over there and do some shows in the States, and we needed a record for it, and there wasn't time to go in the studio, so we recorded Undead, which was a live album, and it was recorded at a club next door to the recording studio. We fed the cables through the canteen, upstairs, through the window into the gig, and recorded it. When that Undead was really just one take, no overdubs, no nothing, straight out. And that was the second album which was released in America, where we were let loose in the studio to do whatever we wanted, really. Everybody did a little track. It was a little strange record and stoned Henge is probably why it's called that. But I can't remember. Without looking, I can't remember what the titles were on it. There were a few good songs and a few indulgent things, you know. Yeah, I think "Hear Me Calling" was a popular song for us. No title too. "Hear Me Calling" has been recorded quite a few times by other people too. So that was a good song that came out of that record, I think. One of the first times we played it, I mean, "I'm Going Home" was just a jam with a few old rock and roll records, and where the intro came from, it came from Alvin, the guitar intro, obviously, but the rest of it was a jam. We do a show, maybe do one encore. People would want another one. We'd go on and make up an old rock and roll, medley, and that became "I'm Going Home," and it morphed as it went along, and it was always the encore. Even at Woodstock, of course, it was the encore. Woodstock, based on the movie. It just went crazy. It put 10 years after. It increased 10 years after. I mean, by that stage, we'd had a couple of records in the charts, in the American charts, LPs, that is, and we were playing to maybe 3,000 people a night, something along that size. Once the movie came out, of course, it elevated the band to the Spinal Tap, would say the enormous drums, the amphitheatres to 15,000, 20,000 capacity places. The whole period was crazy. It was great fun. I mean, we did lots and lots of festivals. We were on a roll. We were enjoying ourselves. The band started off, it started with as I say, with Alvin and I, and we, who'd have thought that we started playing rock and roll in a small town in England, in Nottinghamshire, and ended up playing all over the world and did it for decades. So we were lucky. We were in the right place at the right time, and we were very lucky to have been there. Oh yes, yeah. It broadens the mind.